Hey guys, this is Jason filling in for Helio with Keep It Dirty Off-Road. Today, I want to talk to you guys about something that's very important in the off-road community. Status whores. We all know at least one or two.
What are you doing?
Just talking to the guys.
But we're supposed to be doing a long-term review video on the GU Autotech Tesla display.
Yes, finally.
After 2 long years, guys, we're doing a review of the GU Auto display. GU Tech, how the fuck am I supposed to say?
GU Autotech, GUA.
It took a very long time. Status whore. But no cameras.
They don't work. Can't all be fancy. Oh man, this is perfect for a review. I hate taking my truck out and getting it dirty.
Right? Why does that say Raptor on it?
Like an asthmatic mouse or an adult film star.
From a 12-inch to an 8-inch, but I'm happier now. A lot happier. Maybe my nav will actually take me to a dirt king shop now.
Maybe. Jason, where you been? It's been like years since you've been on the channel.
Life.
Hey guys, hello, we Keep It Dirty Off-Road. I got Jason Scrapper with me again today. We're doing long-awaited, long-term review video on the GU Autotech Tesla style display for the F150s.
Very long term.
You guys have been asking for this video for a long time, and today we're finally going to do it. And spoiler, we're also going to remove it on the video today.
It's done.
There's a bunch of things we're going to cover today, but first, we're going to give you guys a refresher of what the display is, and what it can do, and then we're going to start going over some of the good and some of the bad of what we experienced over the last 2 years with the system. And I hate to say it, there's more bad than good here.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, it had a lot of potential right out the gate.
Yeah.
But then we dealt with the first update process, which almost seemed like your computer was going to get hacked.
On top of that, we're going to go over how has the support been on the system, and then just the longevity. How has it been useful? How has it been as far as reliable? How does it interface with an iPhone? How does it interface with an Android? There's a lot to cover, guys, so let's get straight into it. All right, so we got your whole old stereo sitting right here, getting ready to be replaced. And I think it's first noting what this thing is. So basically, it's a Tesla style display for the F-150. They also make one for the Mustang. The company's called GU Autotech, and they try to set themselves apart by not doing this based on a tablet. The software is based on a tablet.
Yes.
But the hardware is not. You don't have to reuse any of the stock controls. You do reuse the buttons, but you don't reuse the controls. They're all integrated. So you get full climate control integration and full system integration with your truck, right? It replaces sync and all that stuff.
Supposedly.
The only thing it doesn't have is it doesn't have XM. It has everything else, including CarPlay, but it doesn't have satellite radio, right?
Correct.
Can we get power going just so we can see it boot up?
Yeah.
Because this kind of goes into one of the first drawbacks of this thing. It's how long it takes to come up.
Oh, I need to turn the fans off, but I can't because the screen's loading. So if you hop in the truck and you left your blower on from the night before, the day before, but it's cold out now, you're going to have to suffer through it until the buttons pop up.
Okay, we're at 20 seconds waiting for it to boot up.
There we
So
go.
we're at about 25, almost 30 seconds.
Now this is booted up. Sometimes what I've dealt with is your controls aren't showing the corrections rather. So it'll be all looking like it's off, but it's actually on, and then a minute later it'll pop up say what it's actually doing.
It took a very long time. It was almost 60 seconds before the music started rolling.
Yeah. One of the more recent glitches, the upper half of the screen be discolored and look like it was glitched out.
See, now they started happening at about the 2-year mark, right?
Yes. One of the things that they prided themselves on, automotive grade, instead of, tablet based where it could get bounced around and it would break.
The audio does sound good on it, right?
It does.
It does have an EQ, which is kind of nice. Some of these don't have it. They just have like the typical treble, mid, and bass, and that's it. So this has a proper EQ.
But with the EQ, you don't have any auxiliary outputs to run external amplifier or subwoofers.
Because I thought there was a harness for that.
No, there was a harness that came with the kit,
but there
was no plug available on the back of the unit.
I remember having discussions with them on this one because we did want to do an amp, and they're like, "Oh, well, the plugs are there. We just haven't used them yet, right? Or they haven't been enabled."
Exactly.
Okay,
Something along those lines.
It has the typical stuff, right? We have a radio. Can you show the radio really quick? Oh, wow. It takes a long time to switch.
It's laggy, dude.
And then, so it does radio, typical radio stuff. Nothing really special here. As you can see, there's no XM.
But without the stock antenna, you're not going to get reception. First mod that everybody does to their F-150, the little bullet antenna. And
Status.
Status whore. You're not going to get any radio signal.
Do 1033. That's a well-known one here. Wow.
Barely. Mostly static.
We did connect the antenna, though, but it's not getting any good signal through it, huh?
No, not at all.
So radio doesn't work. Bluetooth, I'm guessing, works?
Bluetooth is the only thing you can really listen to that's worth anything in this truck. You heard it start up when this thing first booted up. Never really have an issue with Bluetooth.
You have had issues with the phone.
Yes.
The phone over Bluetooth. Now, remember this. So I had this system in my truck for 2 weeks, and I was annoyed with it after 2 weeks. So we moved it over to Jason's truck. With an iPhone and CarPlay, there was no issues with the microphone. Sometimes it was a little low, but it sounded good. CarPlay integration was good. You have an Android, and with an Android, it's not so good, right? As far as audio calls.
Right. The speaker was integrated right here in the display.
That's the speaker or the microphone?
I'm sorry, the microphone.
And that's that little bit right there. That's the microphone.
Tiny little thing. So anytime I talked to anybody, dude, it sounded like I was 20 feet away from my phone.
It didn't use the integrated microphone like it does with Apple CarPlay. Yeah, which is right there. And the audio sounded pretty decent. Sometimes it sounded low, but that's normal stuff. But with Android Auto, for whatever reason...
No one could hear me.
Yeah, no one can hear. So calls through Android Audio were not the best. Now, it does have CarPlay for music and all that stuff. It works, right?
Yeah, it works. It's not something that I use a whole heck of a lot.
Well, no, because you're an Android guy.
Well, the wife has iPhone. You have to plug the phone up through one of these provided USB ports. I believe it's this first one here. I didn't really care for it. Now, you might notice that I got my phone charger cable plugged into the cigarette lighter, but I got USB ports right here.
Oh, those are low wattage ones, huh?
These are like the first ever USB ports that were ever made. And if I plugged my phone into this, tried to charge it off of these USB ports, I believe one of them told me it would take 48 hours to charge my phone up.
I have the same problem with the stock ports on my Gen 1. The Gen 1 ports are such low wattage. They're like 2.5 or something like that. With the display on, it uses more power than it's being piped into it.
That was a huge drawback for me because now anywhere I go, I have to make sure I got this little USB dongle to plug into the cigarette lighter. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to charge anything.
Now, I used the CarPlay on it, and honestly, it was the only way to use the maps because the onboard maps are the worst. First of all, it takes forever to come up.
I can't download it. I got to call the distributor. New maps.
We went through that. We went through that a bunch of times, too. That was a pain.
Every single time you pull up maps, you have to basically tell it where you are. It would be USA West. It's like it gets stuck on this screen. You got to back out of it. Here we go.
Now, the maps look like... How do I explain it? They look like an early 2000s map interface. It's like the stuff you would see on an old Toyota.
MapQuest.
It's not the best. I'd never actually used it to route me anywhere because when I first started using it, it didn't work for me. That was one of the reasons why it was so frustrating. The first 2 weeks I had it in my truck, we dealt with a major bug with the map system, and it wouldn't get the time right, and it wouldn't get my location right. So I couldn't actually use the maps. So you've actually tried to use the maps, and how has it worked out for you?
It hasn't. Halfway through the trip, it'll bug out, reset itself. I'd lose all the information. I'd have to go through the painstaking process of typing in an address. You know, you'd have to obviously pull over to do that. You can't be doing that on the fly. There's too much going on.
Now, I ended up using CarPlay for most of my stuff, right, to find everything. And CarPlay obviously works, but how is this at finding addresses?
It's difficult. If you don't put the address in right, like at least with Google, if you get close to, you know, the address that it'll tell you like, did you mean this? Not with this guy. This guy, you have to be like dead on. Otherwise, you're not getting where you need to go.
Can you do points of interest searches?
You can. I think their maps just need a major update. I've typed in, take me to the best off-road suspension place that you can. And it took me to some place called HM Racing Design. And I was for sure trying to go to Dirt King just because they're the only company that makes a long travel kit that's worth anything for this truck. But no, it took me to some HM racing place. I don't know. Some guy named Kevin was trying to sell me like some crazy suspension, and it looked really nice.
But it wasn't long travel.
But it wasn't long travel. So I don't know. There might be something wrong. Points of interest, shock rebuilders, and what is it, ADS? They didn't even give me the option to go to ADS. So I have no idea. Something's wrong with it.
It's junk. So enough bashing on the maps. The maps is probably one of its worst features. It does have other things, right? Like you have cameras, but no cameras.
They don't work.
Does a backup camera at least work?
It's not worked in the last 2 years.
Really?
Yes.
So that's something that they never fixed.
Correct.
When I had it in my Raptor, the Raptor Profile is one of the ones they test the most because these are put in every Shelby Raptor in Europe. So on the Raptor, you did get the display on here, but it was awful because it was that low quality display just stretched out on a larger screen and it looked like crap. It was not usable. And it's kind of frustrating to hear that guys with lower trim trucks with the backup camera can't get even the backup camera to come up. That's pretty frustrating.
It is extremely frustrating. Not only that, but if you have a lower trim level truck, can't all be fancy and have lariat. And
It's not a true lariat?
it's not a true lariat. Look, I don't even have the leather seats.
Where's your sunroof?
Another thing,
Where's your climate control? Well, this has climate control.
yeah, but it's only single zone. I don't have the dual zone, so I didn't opt for the status core package when I bought the truck. So I wanted it to be functional. I wanted it to,
Why didn't you get a platinum?
I don't know, dude. I'm a poor. I'm one of the poors.
I hope you guys see the sarcasm in this. I know some of you guys won't.
I'm open to all the hate that's going to come my way, so send it.
What are the other features? If I remember right, that was basically it.
This, I think, was your 360 camera.
Try that out. Let's see what that looks like. Nothing, right? Because you don't have that equipped.
Nope.
What about video and all that stuff?
That's if you have like a USB plugged in, I'm imagining.
And then there was a browser. I remember we showed you guys us surfing. Why did it turn on the music all of a sudden?
Oh, man, this is perfect for a review. And the battery timed out.
So this is kind of the challenges that we've had with it, right? Like when I used the browser, it would work for a short amount of time and then it would disconnect from my Wi-Fi and it was done. If I connected it to my phone, it wouldn't do anything. And that's one of the main, I would say, drawbacks of this. There are other displays out there, very similar, but they're tablet-based. And yes, tablet is a drawback for audio quality, but the features they had overcame a lot of the drawbacks, right? Because this system is very buggy. And the other systems are very buggy, but at least the other systems are getting fixed. This one, in the 2 years that we've had it, we haven't had a single software update come out for it. And if you go on their website, the GU Autotech website, there is no details on there on how to get an update or anything like that. It's just a context radio button to get a hold of them.
And you ended up having to go to like some Chinese website or something, which was...
The process to upgrade was pretty sketchy. I mean, I felt like I was going to a hacker site or something like that.
You're going to end up on the black market somewhere.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. And the process to update the maps was even worse. It was quite difficult. If you're not techie, it was really annoying. So the update process in 2 years hasn't happened. So the bugs have remained and the system has been annoying. I mean, honestly, Jason, the only thing you really use this for is for music, right? You don't really use it for calls. You don't use it for maps. You don't use it for CarPlay or Android Auto.
You just use it for music. The video, for the rear view camera, nothing.
Yeah. So you've just been using it for music.
Yep, and I think it's time to say goodbye.
So this has essentially been a status symbol. And that's it.
Because like I say, I've got a 12-inch screen in my truck.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's all it's been. The F150 Status Horror Edition 12.1-inch screen.
Yeah. Now, you've talked to other guys that have like the Phoenix display and all that stuff.
Yes.
And they're happy with it, but they've also been honest about the amount of bugs they had with it too, right?
They've had a few bugs here and there. But like the one guy I was talking to, he told me like, yo, I was driving home watching the football game. I'm like, dude, that sounds freaking cool. I can't do that with mine.
Yeah, because you can't add any apps or anything like that. It is strictly restricted to be an in-display system.
With a 12-inch screen like this, dude, if you had the capability of going through like an app store, adding like Google Maps,
would be awesome.
Dude, it would be incredible. Right. just to have that kind of feature, and it would be detailed, and you wouldn't have all the issues with typing in the exact correct address of where you're going.
That's kind of the drawback of this, right? I had this in my truck 2 weeks. I was thoroughly annoyed with it after the 2-week mark, and that was after fixing some issues with it so that Jason would have a better experience. You've had this in your truck for 2 years, and you're super lazy. You would have replaced this a long time ago, wouldn't you?
I would have, but I hadn't been driving the truck as much with gas prices going crazy and work schedule.
Don't lie. You wanted the status symbol to tell people that you were driving around in the lariat.
Yeah. No, that's 100% true. I mean, I think in the last 2 years, I've only been out to the desert like maybe a handful of times.
I would say around 4 times, right?
That's still in a handful.
So that's the drawback, guys. So our recommendation is avoid the GU system, and we want to be full transparent, right? This system was given to us by GU to test. When we initially looked at it, we really liked it. It was really cool. It was pretty impressive. But you guys know I don't like to do a full review until we've had a chance to really use it, and we've definitely had a chance to really use this thing.
We've tried to.
And it's quite frustrating. These, you can't even get a hold of these right now. These are not even available for sale. They're all out of stock. I think the Mustang one is in stock, and that's it. But if you're going to go with this kind of display, if you have to, go for the Phoenix style. I think the Phoenix one is a little bit better. They have better support.
You're going to have more of a good time using
More features. Yeah, and more features.
Definitely more user friendly.
But regardless of which one you go with, be ready to deal with bugs. These will always have bugs. They'll never be perfect. And the boot up cycle sucks. For climate control, it sucks for music. You can't just get in this thing and go like you can on your regular vehicle. It takes some time booting up.
They do have some out there where I believe they just replace
half the screen.
So you still have like the functional buttons and dials for your climate and all that. But I've never got to see one of those in person. So,
and all of these systems, guys, regardless of who makes it, they're all Chinese-made displays. They're all using similar hardware. The difference is in the software. Find a company that has this, that supports their units and has a presence to continue to support their units. That's really the biggest drawback of this is the bugs and the software. If the company doesn't support the software, don't even bother. That is it as far as the review, guys. Now we're going to time-lapse getting this thing removed, and we'll come back and start closing thoughts on it. I know some of you guys are going to be disappointed in this. We wanted to be honest, guys. Even though this was given to us for free, so we're beholden to them, I still wanted to give you guys an honest review. We didn't like this thing at all, and it basically ended up being a status symbol, and that's why it only lasted on my truck for 2 weeks.
I liked the status symbol, so I kept it for a little longer.
You've always been a closet platinum driver, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. You've always wanted a platinum.
I hate taking my truck out and getting it dirty.
Right. I mean, who wants that? It's like, why spend 20 grand and only drive it off-road 4 times in how many years?
Who spent 20 grand on my long travel suspension?
You know what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah, I do, unfortunately.
And at least you drive your truck.
That's true. That's true.
All right, let's get to removing this thing.
Let's do it.
So as we're putting this back together, Jason and I were realizing that at some point we did try to fix the backup camera, right? They gave us a new system thinking it was probably a bad system, and it still didn't work. And we're also surprised by how simple the stock solution is compared to the GU system.
Oh, dude. We had a spider web of connectors and wires and CAN bus foolers and everything.
So much simpler with the stock setup. Moment of truth.
Let's see if it works.
Why does that say Raptor on it? So it is a true Lariat then, right?
Sorry, dude. Once a status whore, always a status whore.
I know, it's really easy to change that. If you've never done it before, it's super easy to change that.
I played with all of the different splash screen options, from the STs to the Lincolns, all of it, just to see what they are, and it was pretty cool. So
let's check your climate controls, make sure everything works, man.
I think there's a little bit more adjustability in these knobs than there was with that touchscreen, because the touchscreen, you didn't have this much of a range. So it was either like an asthmatic mouse huffing on you from across the room or an adult film star freaking right in your face, freaking just... No, this is a lot more adjustability. I forgot about that.
Nice. Radio works. Imagine that. Reception.
The radio works.
All right, I think we're good to button this up.
Cool, and I know my phone's going to work again. So
you'll be able to talk to people.
It's been 2 years. I'm back, baby.
All right, let's get this back together.
Yep.
Before we forget.
So just to make sure I'm not crazy and losing my mind. Holy crap.
Backup camera.
The backup camera does work.
Dude, your backup camera's dirty.
Because it hasn't been used in 2 years.
All right, guys, so that's it. We got them all back to stock. GU display is going to go up for sale.
Haven't decided yet if we want to do a giveaway or sale. I don't know.
We'll figure out a giveaway. I think we'll do that, guys. We'll figure out a giveaway. Just make sure you follow Scrapter and I on Instagram if you want to be a part of that. If you want the system, even after our honest review, that's up to you.
There are status whores out there.
Yep.
That may just want it for the size.
I
went from a 12-inch screen to an 8-inch screen, but I'm happier now. A lot happier.
At least it's a full 8 inches, right?
Yeah, it's a solid 8 inches.
And I think that's the conclusion on the system, guys. A lot of these are for show. They come stock on most of the Shelby Raptors sold in Europe. And if you follow this channel long enough, you know Shelby Raptors are just for show. There's no real extra capability in there. There's no reason to pay the extra money for those things. And I think they're ugly.
Raptor with bolt-ons.
Yeah, it's not really worth it in my opinion.
Bolt-ons and badges.
I don't like them. I think most of the Shelby Raptors are pavement princesses. I'm sorry. That's how I actually feel. But yeah, so that's it for this video, guys. We got them back on there. If you want to still get one of these systems, like I said, we recommend going with one that gets better support, like the Phoenix systems or something like that, where you get software support, because we got very little to none on this one.
Yeah.
So final thoughts, Jason?
I'm glad to have the stock system back. Now I got to go through and set all my EQs and make sure that's all still good. But other than that, I'm happy.
All right, guys. Questions, comments below. Please consider subscribing. Make sure you follow Scrapter on Instagram, Scrapter1023.
Maybe my nav will actually take me to a Dirt King shop now.
Maybe.
I'm gonna go mess with it and find out.
Thanks for watching, guys.